Thank you, Eric. So basically, Panorama approaches OCM through 6 major work streams. They are marketing and communication, change impact analysis, organizational risk assessment, organizational readiness, training, benefits realization, stakeholder and executive alignment. And we're going to walk through each one of these. This, again, is a bit of an eye chart, but it is very, very significant because to the left you can see, on the left-hand side of the slide, you can see where we've identified each one of the work streams, and across the top are your typical project phases: initiation, blueprinting, planning, design, execution, go live, and post-go live. And what we've done here is tried to take all of the activities, deliverables inside each one of the work streams and lay them out according to where they take place in the phases of the project. So we're going to go through this in greater detail, but I wanted to show you exactly in one snapshot what that's all about. So now we're going to take a look at marketing and communications. Marketing communications is effective communication is a major significant contributor to project success. This communication process requires a very, very detailed and sophisticated plan, and that communication plan is a subset of an overall OCM plan. Communication promotes the project culture and project awareness. You must communicate consistently, frequently, and through multiple channels. You also need to communicate all that's known and as quickly as the information is available. Really, a lot of this has to do with the fact that you want to make sure that your rumor mill is managed. So often there will be information and you hold back from actually getting the information publicized, and it's basically you're going to have a rumor problems if you don't communicate as quickly as possible. You must communicate exactly what is changing, why the organization is changing, what are the benefits of those changes, how the change is going to be accomplished, and everyone is always going to be interested in how that change is going to affect their job or their life. So whenever a piece of communication goes out, you have to make sure that these components are a part of that. Here is that slice I was talking about. So during initiation, and again, this is Panorama's approach. During initiation, we will maintain and update the glossary of terms that's actually created during software selection. During blueprinting, we create that what I call very sophisticated communication plan. Then project planning all the way through post-go live, that communication plan is executed upon. And that communication plan has many different parts to it. It basically has your audiences, your vehicle, what channel you're going to use to communicate. It has how often you're going to communicate, who's responsible for designing the communication. It has status on there as to exactly when something was produced, and then also you try to analyze exactly how effective that piece of communication was. Okay. Our next work stream, change impact analysis, organizational risk assessment. Change impact analysis is where we take a look at the to-be process. We bump it up against our as-is process. Those gaps that are identified are going to require some form of transition management. And the absence of that transition management can introduce significant risks to your project. So you do, in fact, analyze all of the business processes this is the way we used to do it, this is the way the to-be process is going to be developed. There are many different aspects of the change impact analysis. We look at people's jobs, their roles, their skill sets. A lot of times we're dealing with a number of different locations. We identify the different locations, and sometimes each location is impacted differently. And through the change impact analysis, we put together an action plan that then becomes a part of the overall OCM plan. The change impact analysis and risk assessment are tools that help assess possible risk and measure the success of activities aimed at risk mitigation. Change impact analysis further defines exactly what to communicate and train to mitigate risk. When you do a complete change impact analysis, the majority of those gaps that we identify, most of them can be mitigated through effective training and through effective communication. There are those, however, that will take an entire action plan to mitigate the risk. But a lot of it can be mitigated through communication and training. But the change impact analysis, why it's so powerful, is all the business processes are sitting right in front of you, and you understand exactly which ones we're going to tackle with communication, with training, possibly both, and which ones need special requirements, special planning. So here is that slice. Change impact analysis really gets kicked off during blueprinting. Blueprinting is, in fact, where you are identifying and documenting your to-be process flow. So that is where we begin to conduct that change impact analysis. And then we also, at this point, conduct a risk assessment. Then it's actually during design that we will design those action plans and create any organizational design around the action plans, and then we also put together our roles, and responsibilities matrix. The third work stream is organizational readiness. And the purpose of organizational readiness is to gain an overall understanding and awareness of the challenges that we have facing us in any given project. We'll assess the expectations, concerns, and any anxieties regarding change. We assess the current level of an organization's readiness. We need to, in order to do this, so you need to understand the organization's as-is state. So basically, that very first organizational readiness assessment that we take, we are really trying to see where the current state of the organization is, and identify any of the risks, which leads to the next one. Okay, so the slice of the work stream and some of the deliverables. We conduct an executive organizational readiness assessment. And sometimes we actually conduct focus groups, and that's basically more of a face-to-face assessment opposed to an electronic assessment. During blueprinting, we conduct another risk assessment. During design, we actually will conduct some additional org readiness and focus groups and identify risks. Organizational readiness is something that we will actually conduct throughout the entire project. We take an original assessment at the beginning to understand the as-is situation. We most often take one just prior to training so that you can understand if individuals are going to be ready for that training. If in fact, we want to understand how much they know about the project so that they are, receptive to the training. And then often you'll take one just prior to go live, so you make sure that the organization is ready. The next work stream is training. A very well executed ERP training program trains employees in both that new technology, all the new transactions that they're going to be using in their daily jobs, and it also trains them in the new processes. And it also will give the employees the opportunity to see some of the new improvements and the reasons why we're making the changes. Training is both instrumental and critical to change. Training helps to facilitate the employees' buy-in and helps them overcome any resistance to change. Training is, both training and communications are the two work streams that are probably the heaviest workload. You start training during project planning, and this is where you create a training strategy. You conduct some role training, and you create a training documentation plan. Then during design, you actually design your training documentation. You do a training needs analysis, create your training plan, and create course outlines and curriculum. During design, a lot is happening there. The needs assessment helps identify the number of users that need to be trained. The designing the courses helps us understand the length of any course, and you bump it up against how many users that you have to train, and that then creates a training plan so that it helps you understand. Okay, we have 800 end users that need to be trained in a 4-week time period. Just exactly how are we going to accomplish that? Is it going to take 2 or 3 sessions running simultaneously for a couple of weeks at a time to accomplish that goal of 4 weeks? Or that training plan will help lay that out, and so that you understand exactly that you can actually complete the training by go live. The reason why I say 4 weeks is typically you want to train your end users 4 to 6 weeks before going live. Actually, the closer to go live, the better, because then it's all fresh in their minds. Okay. The next work stream is benefits realization. And benefits realization translates the business benefits in the project's business case into business outcomes. Eric mentioned earlier about the business case that is developed. Benefits realization takes everything that's been identified as an opportunity for dollar savings or whatever that opportunity may be. Benefits realization walks you through actually getting to the point where you see the benefit. The benefits do not just happen. You have to identify them, work with them, monitor them. You have to actually name a business process owner. So throughout the entire project, and as your software, new processes are being designed, the realization of the benefit becomes clearer and clearer, and we monitor that. And actually, there are some benefits that there may be new benefits that we will identify during that entire process. So in the OCM work stream, we actually make sure that we monitor that so that in the end, the business benefit is in fact handed over to a business owner, and we then do conduct post-go-live audits to make sure that the benefits are being realized. Okay, so basically then we conduct the business case review session, we validate all those potential benefits, and during design we complete the benefits realization matrix, and at post-go-live we conduct the review, and make sure that the benefit is actually turned over to the person who is going to own it. And the last one is our stakeholder and executive alignment. Stakeholder, just exactly what is a stakeholder? It's any individual, group, or institution who has a vested interest in the project and or who potentially will be affected by the project's activities and have something to gain or lose if conditions change or stay the same. If you think about that, that involves a lot of individuals. It is core team members, steering committees, executive teams. There are external stakeholders such as customers, vendors, potentially any governing bodies that may be affected by the change in the system. So a stakeholder analysis basically identifies all those individuals. We gather some very basic data on each stakeholder, but we actually do some analysis on the stakeholder to try to understand the magnitude of the impact of this project on that stakeholder, the level of influence the stakeholder may have on the project, and there's a number of other things on the stakeholder analysis, but very, very valuable to understand exactly who are our stakeholders and where each of them stands within the project. Right at initiation, we conduct the stakeholder analysis and begin to gather names of individuals. Initiation really goes hand in hand with our software selection, and at that time we have identified a number of people. Of course, we typically have our steering committee, our executive team at that time. So that's where we begin to build our stakeholder analysis, and we continue to build on that throughout the project. Okay, again, here's the eye chart, and so we really want to emphasize here exactly when OCM is performed. And you can see the dark blue lines start at the very beginning of a project, right at software selection. And you can see the 3 lines that go all the way through the project, and they are organizational readiness, stakeholder analysis, and of course marketing and communications. So I think I probably answered this question. So when do we perform OCM? It originates at the inception of the project. OCM, that OCM plan that I mentioned a number of times, that is integrated into the overall project plan. And OCM supports the technical team throughout the implementation.